Okay, we're returning to the 7-7 worksheet. These are examples, and this one covers the same skills that would be in problem 17. So we have this formula here, and it's designed to change unit Q into units that are units P. So use the formula to find the value of P when Q is 64.2. So part A. I simply plug it in and use my calculator to find that value. So the little fraction key, you can I often just go 2 divided by 3 in parentheses like that. And then 64.2 plus 8 inside the parentheses, and this gives a value of 48.13. Plus 8, that's the original, and we want to unbury this Q. Now on previous ones where you have a generic X and a generic Y, we switch them. We switch the X and the Y. But a lot of times these have meanings. For instance, this might be representing something that starts with P, and this might be representing something that starts with Q, so if you switch them it gets all confused. And it'll tell you, so without switching, okay? So the first thing I got to do is get rid of the stuff on the outside. Adding 8 is a higher priority here because of the parentheses than multiplying by 2/3. So what I'm going to do here is multiply by the reciprocal on both sides. And that cancels this off. And then I simply subtract 8 from both sides. So I'm going to get 3/2 P minus 8. I need to put minus 8 there. I was going to put plus 8. Okay, let me clean it up. This is what it should look like. Okay. Now, we're going to use this formula for the last part, and we're going to use a P value of 12. So part C is going to be Q is equal to 3/2 times 12 minus 8. So that's going to be 18 minus 8, which is 10. All right, so that's A, B, and C on problem 17. And now I'll turn my attention to the last few problems. Well, we'll go to 18 and 19 to start with. We're given a graph here, and we're supposed to graph the inverse of this. So you just got to pick points that are convenient. Here's 1, -5, 0. So you want to go 0, -5 on the halo point, or the inverse point. And then it looks like we have -3, 3. So I want to go 3, -3, and my graph is very faint, so I apologize for that. And then there's 0, 4. So I want to go 4, 0. And then we have another one at right here, which is at 4, 6. So I want to go 6, 4. And these are halo points. And my graph isn't real clear, so I might have gotten a few of these. I think this one should be moved over a little bit, is what happened. Okay, and then I've got one right here. And that one's at, looks like 7, 7. So when you switch those, it's on both graphs. And I'll do one more here. I'll do one out here, which looks like it's at 11, 8. So I want to go 8, and then 11. And so there's my last halo point, and I just draw my graph like that. And it says, is this a function? Well, it passes the vertical line test if I draw lines here. So this one's a yes. And it's talking about the inverse you just drew. Okay? So that does it for problems 18 and 19. They're both done the same way. All right, so here's a conceptual one, number 21. Now, what you could do here is find the inverse And I'll do that way first, but then when we're done here, there's a much easier way to do this. Okay, so here's f of x. It's 2x plus 3. So I can find the inverse by first of all switching the x and y. And I'll subtract 3 and divide by 2. So here's the inverse. X minus 3 over 2. Okay, so we're supposed to put 8 into that inverse first. 8 minus 3 is 5. And then when you take 5 over 2, you get 2.5. Well, then you're supposed to plug it into the other one. 2.5 times 2 is 5, and 5 plus 3 gives 8. Oh, so that equals 8. Well, that might be because a function and its inverse are canceling actions, and you get 8. So you didn't have to do all that work. Those are canceling actions, so cross them off. Okay, examples 22 through 24, M and N cover that. And what I've got here is a function written in function notation in a streamlined version. So you're going to first be asked to solve for the x in this streamlined version without switching the variables. Well, the outside layer here is the square root, so I'll get rid of that by squaring both sides. And the outside layer now is this times 2r, so I'll divide by 2r on both sides. And I'll simply add 3 to both sides. Let me turn it around and I'll be done with this part of it. Then I'm supposed to use this formula to find x when the p-value is 18. And the directions at the top here say that r is 64. So 18 squared over 2 times 64 plus 3, and you just simply do the number crunching. So I'll do that on my home screen here. Alright, first I'll set up my fraction bar. I hit the alpha key in the F1 menu, and then I go 18 squared over 2 times 64 plus 3, and I'm done. Although I could leave it that way, but I'm going to go math, and I get, I'll round it off to 5.53. Okay, so there we go. That's how you do problems 22 through 24. And that's the end of this video series for section 7.7.